Now, I've seen a few boxing fans basically say that Vasily Lomachenko was basically exposed by Teofimo Lopez. I have seen like guys in the LDBC calling. It almost seems like they're celebrating the fact that Vasily Lomachenko lost. They're calling him White Jesus and stuff. Now, and then I've seen like a few people come out and just basically say that he was always overrated and stuff like that. Now, I personally don't think that Vasily Lomachenko is a hype job or ever was a hype job. I personally think that he just lost because he was in there with a guy who had the perfect game plan for somebody like him, right? Vasily Lomachenko is a guy who turned pro at, I believe it was 126, right? A little dude. And he eventually moved up to 130. He eventually moved up to 135. When you're a smaller guy moving up in weight, eventually you're going to fight a bigger guy that your skills are not going to be enough to basically beat. Like when Vasyle Lomachenko was fighting in the lower weight divisions, you notice how he was knocking everybody out. Like he was like known as a knockout artist when he was like fighting at like 126. But you notice once he started moving up in weight, he wasn't knocking guys out the way he was at 126. Why? Because those guys were bigger, naturally bigger. They were able to take they had better chins. They were able to take his punching power more because even though he was faster, they have fought bigger punchers. You know what I'm saying? That's why he went the distance with guys like Luke Campbell and other guys. And he was landing bombs on Teofimo Lopez. But I never saw Teofimo Lopez hurt. Like Teofimo Lopez was eating his punches like M&Ms. You know what I'm saying? And some of those same punches that he landed on other opponents when he was fighting at 126, he would knock them out. So that's what I'm saying. When you move up in weight and you're fighting guys who are naturally bigger than you, they're going to be able to take your punches because they've been in there against bigger and bigger punchers. I think this was a situation where he was in there with a very talented guy who was more bigger than him and who implemented a really good game plan. Keep Vasily Lomachenko, the smaller guy, at the end of the jab. Keep him hesitate and hit him with body shots. And Vasyle Lomachenko was clearly intimidated by the punching power of Teofimo Lopez. And that's why he gave away those rounds and he ended up losing. And that's what happens in boxing. I consider a guy being a hype job if he were to lose to somebody who was not good. Like, let's say some low-level bum just beat Vasyle Lomachenko. Then I'll be like, what the fuck? Yeah, then I might be calling him a hype job or any other fighter. But I think it's kind of ridiculous to be calling Vasyle Lomachenko a hype job when he lost to somebody as talented as Teofimo Lopez. You know what I'm saying? You don't become a unified champion at 23 years old if you don't have talent, right? And you're also discrediting Teofimo Lopez if you call, by calling Vasyle Lomachenko overrated, you're discrediting Teofimo Lopez because you're basically saying you just beat a bum. If Devin Haney were to beat Vasyle Lomachenko and then you went around saying, hey, Devin Haney exposed Vasyle Lomachenko, he was a hype job. You're basically saying that Devin Haney beat a nobody, a hype job, he was a bum. So you're basically discrediting Devin Haney's victory, right? Just like you would be discrediting when you're calling Vasyle Lomachenko a hype job, you're basically discrediting Teofimo Lopez. You're basically saying he didn't beat nobody who was special. Teofimo Lopez beat an extremely talented guy in Vasyle Lomachenko. Extremely talented guy. This is a guy who was a gold medalist as an amateur, right? This is a guy who has a incredible amateur record, right? This is a guy who went several years without losing, right? Because he's very talented. Now, I never thought he was unbeatable. There's some guys out there that acted like this guy was unbeatable. I never thought he was unbeatable because I have seen him, get rocked and get touched a few times. But I've always considered Vasyle Lomachenko high tech as a top 10, top 5 elite boxer in the world. I've never looked at him like, he was unbeatable, but I've always considered him legit. So I think it's fair. Instead of saying Vasyle Lomachenko got exposed, you should just be like, you should be saying no. He was in there with a better fighter in Teofimo Lopez, who just used his attributes, his length and his power to his advantage and beat the smaller guy in Vasyle Lomachenko. Vasyle Lomachenko could still move down in weight. What happens if Vasyle Lomachenko moves down in weight to 130 and let's say he's dominant in 130? Let's say he wipes out the 130 division and becomes undisputed. Right? Then you're gonna be looking at that like that's just gonna make Teofimo Lopez look even better, right? You're gonna be like, okay, look at how good Vasyle Lomachenko is. He went on to become champion. He's only like 32 years old. I also don't like it when I see people say, you know, Vasyle Lomachenko was over the hill. He's in his prime. He's 32 years old. I don't think it's appropriate to say that he was over the hill as if he was as if he's some 39-year-old fighter. Styles make fights. He didn't look that great against Luke Campbell because Luke Campbell is a tall guy. He's a 5 foot tall lightweight. You know what I'm saying? So Styles make fights. You know, if Vasyle Lomachenko if you put Vasyle Lomachenko in there with a flat-footed guy who has no defense, Vasyle Lomachenko will look amazing. He will destroy that guy. You know, Styles make fights. Vasyle Lomachenko was in there with a guy who had his style that was a kryptonite for him, and yeah, I definitely don't agree with the people going around suggesting that Vasyle Lomachenko was exposed. I think that he was just in there with a better fighter, and he could move on and move on to a smaller weight division and maybe conquer that smaller weight division. And yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching.